Hi, this is Gabe from G Squared Interactive, and this is episode 4 of SEO from the Front Lines. Today I'm going to be covering my latest blog post, which I published this morning on my blog. It's called the Ad Experience Report in Google Search Console and Why It Fails Site Owners, How It Provides a False Sense of Security, and How It Could Be Improved. So basically, this is something that has launched in 2017, and when it launched, I couldn't wait to dig in. Because basically Google was finally going to provide information about your ad experience, right? And with broad core updates and other major algorithm updates, the ad experience is really important, right? It can contribute to you getting impacted negatively, right? So it was really interesting when they said that they were going to roll out the report. This is what it looks like. You could actually see if you're passing or failing, and I'll cover more about that in a minute. It rolled out, they announced it in 2017, and they said that they would begin to enforce this in 2018. And enforcement meant Chrome could literally block all of your ads on the site. So it would strip all the ads from the site if you're violating the better ad standards. So the better ad standards, and that's kind of one of the problems with this, really lays out specific formats and things going on that are like the worst of the worst. So the reason this becomes problematic is because so many sites that have aggressive and disruptive ads or deceptive ads see passing scores and reviews in Google Search Console when they still have a problem. So basically, they have a false sense of security that things are really good when they're not really good. I've heard from many site owners that weren't totally in tune with how aggressive ads can impact them and go, hey, but we pass. And you check and they did pass, or they weren't reviewed. That's the other problem. A lot of sites are not reviewed in Google Search Console under the Ad Experience Report. So if you had aggressive ads, and maybe even if you would have failed a review, it's not showing. So it's kind of problematic. So again, enforcement began in February of 2018. At that time, I wrote a post on my own blog as well as on Search Engine Roundtable for Barry, just covering what this looks like, because it's the worst of the worst, but there are sites that are failing the better ad standards, and Google's enforcing that. So for example, here you can see this is on mobile, ads blocked at the bottom, right? So there are literally no ads being run on that site. Here's another one, ads blocked, no ads running on the site. Here's a desktop version of this. Notifying that ads are blocked, and as you can see, there are empty slots here where the ads would be. So obviously for a site owner, if you're making money off of ads, this can be seriously problematic. But again, the core point here, pun intended, is that if you're worried about broad core updates and other major algorithm updates, like the helpful content update from September where page experience and aggressive ads seem to play a part, you kind of want to see this in Google Search Console. Again, there's an ad experience report. It really should say something in there if you have aggressive or disruptive ads. So that's when I kind of went into this part of the post where I said, Mountain View, we have a problem, great concept, but it never told the full story. I covered what the better ad standards covers from a desktop and mobile web experiences. Again, it covers the worst things, so you definitely don't want to have these, and you could violate the better ad standards, and that can show up in the ad experience report. But I see plenty of sites that are passing that have tons of ads on the site. They're completely disruptive. They follow people down the page. There's layered ads in certain areas over the content. Auto-playing video doesn't have sound, and that wouldn't actually be against the better ad standards. So there's a lot of stuff going on that I think Google could flag, and I think it could really help site owners have a better understanding of what would be considered bad ad experience and user experience. I gave 2 examples here. These are both sites heavily impacted by the September helpful content update. They both had super aggressive ads. One wasn't reviewed and the other's passing, right? So they didn't, the one that's passing didn't fail the better ad standards. So it's passing even though they have completely disruptive and aggressive ads. And the other one just never was reviewed. And if you're a small to medium-sized site, there's a really good chance your site's never been reviewed. The other thing is the report is now under the Legacy Tools and Reports menu in Google Search Console, which is basically where things go to die. Google could very well deprecate this. Clearly, they're not having this distinctly in the menu, so it's under web tools. You click through, then you have to choose a property in Google Search Console. It can't be a domain property. It needs to be a URL prefix property, and anyway, they make it kind of hard to get to. So that tells me things may not go well for this report long term. The other thing that I covered was I just wanted to see, are they still enforcing this, right? Or is this something that's super old at this point? And they still are enforcing it. Via the API, I exported the violating sites. You could see a bunch were recently, over the past few months, 2024, May, March. You could see in that screenshot. So Google is still enforcing this. I just wish it would be better. Then I went into the giant false sense of security, where site owners, believe that they're okay from an ad perspective when they're not. I covered what aggressive ads look like. This is from one of my presentations. This is from SMX Advanced, which I just presented in June. This is not doctored. This is literally what the site looked like. There are ads everywhere. But that site would probably pass the better ad standards. So it's, they wouldn't have their ads stripped, and they're not having their ads stripped, obviously, because you can see all the ads running there. So anyway, just really problematic if you have that and you're not being notified that it's problematic. And then the last part of the post is I went into what the ad experience could have been. I explained more about Nav Boost, which is Google's system for tracking 13 months of user interaction signals, which can impact rankings. And this is where Google can really understand if you have a super aggressive user experience and ad experience, and it's causing people to run from the site. That can be picked up, I'm assuming, via Nav Boost, and then that could end up really impacting you during major algorithm updates. So that's definitely something you would want to keep in mind. Also, just confirming, basically John Mueller has explained more about quality and that it's more than just content. Super important to understand. I find site owners are always just focused on the content, but when it comes to Google's overall evaluation of quality, John Mueller said it covers UX issues, the advertising situation, how things are presented, and citing sources, and more. So there's a lot that goes into Google's overall evaluation, and it's not just content. So just another reason to keep an eye on your ad experience. Just moving forward, again, it was a great concept, not effective. I would love for Google to refine this, maybe provide something based on Nav Boost, right? Understanding that things are going in the wrong direction from a user experience standpoint. Maybe call it the user experience report versus ad experience report, and just let site owners know that maybe things are going in the wrong direction and this may not end well from an algorithm update standpoint. And then I said, wouldn't it be cool if there was an early warning detection system, right? And you could actually do this. You could run a user study. I've covered this a million times. I wrote a whole post about it. Google actually linked to that post, by the way, from their post about Broadcore updates. That just shows you how much they think about running user studies. And you could learn a lot. I mean, you could hear people go through your site, watch people go through your site. You could ask them specific questions based on the quality rater guidelines, the old Panda questions, the helpful content questions, questions that are in the Broadcore updates post, and you could really learn a lot. Clients that I've helped go through these studies, it's been enlightening for them. They learned things that they had no idea that users had problems with or didn't like or whatever it may be. So you don't necessarily need an SEO to help you with this, by the way. It's cool if you do, maybe because they'll bring some perspective about major algorithm updates, but you could run it yourself and just figure out, are people really having a problem on our sites? Do they not like certain things? And that can go a long way. So anyway, that's my latest post. You can find it on my blog at gsqi.com. And that's it. Until the next algorithm update, which might be soon, this is Glenn Gabe signing out. So good luck in Google land, and there's never a dull moment.